All right, Eagle Nation, day one of Eagles training camp in the books. Today we'll go over everything you need to know from day one, some of our camp notes. We got to hear from Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Darius Slay, and more. And also a couple surprises, things that may spark some interest here as we go into the next couple of days. Things to keep our eyes on. We'll get into it all. But welcome into A to Z Philly. Do me a favor, like the video if you enjoy the coverage and subscribe to the channel. Certainly helps us out. Go down below, hit that bell. Don't miss any of the noties. So why not jump into it? Okay, we first heard from Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman this morning. They sat down together, talked about the normal things, spewed the normal, we want to get better, and we're not going to reveal too much, but we're excited about this year, and we made a lot of good moves, things of that nature. But here are a couple takeaways that I think were important from what they had to say. Nick says his relationship with Jalen Hurts is very good, and later we'll get into what Hurts had to say about it. But Howie says that him and Nick have been collaborating on decisions this offseason. They still are on the same page, and that is good to hear. Hopefully, things continue to go in a positive direction. One thing I thought was interesting at the end, Nick mentioned that Tyler Steen will be the starting right guard, but the job is currently an ongoing battle. So we may see a couple other guys vying for that job, for that position, and that is one of my areas to watch as we head into training camp. And lastly, Howie says the Eagles will not be content whatsoever with improving the roster, doing a hard look up and down. Obviously last year, right, made some moves, probably didn't work out the best, so always looking to upgrade. In addition, one other thing to keep our eyes on, Howie Roseman talked about the third wide receiver spot, which I think is another area that we need to monitor, and he says that's something we're going to be watching daily. Seemed like Paris Campbell got the reps today, and Jalen Hurts connected with him a couple times, but definitely good to keep that competition ongoing. Nakobe Dean ready to go. Nick said he was very excited to get back in the mix. And here's Jalen Hurts, man. There's our first look. We saw Saquon running out, but look at Jalen. Look how happy he is. By the way, we'll talk about his mechanics and stuff, but he looks to be in really good shape. Looks like he's continuing to improve on his health and his body as an NFL player, and that is what the Birds are going to need. They need to stay healthy as can be for this entire season. Now, before we jump into some of the practice clips and some things that we heard from the reporters, injury update, okay? Landon Dickerson did not practice today as a toe laceration. Apparently, it's not that serious. I don't know if it was the damn slip and slide that he was putting together, whatever it is. Landon Dickerson hurt his toe, but he seems to be okay. And Brett Toth out with a hamstring. And this was one piece of news from the Eagles themselves, but I just want to highlight this last part where they say Sidney Brown is on the active, physically unable to perform list. Will that impact the Eagles' depth in the secondary? Apparently, James Bradbury was here today at second string safety. It's got to be absolutely demoralizing going from a starting corner in the starting cornerback in the Super Bowl, to a couple years later being a second string safety. Like, that has to be absolutely crushing. Will they trade Bradbury? Will they try to build his value up? Are they just going to cut him? Who knows? But Bradbury seems to be out of the mix. But who knows with Sidney Brown now apparently not being back and ready yet. Also, we heard this piece of news last night. Didn't get to it because it was very late, but Cooper DeJean is sidelined 3 weeks with a hamstring injury. Really like him as a player. Don't think he's really vying for a starting job right now, but as a second-round pick, this is a bit crushing, especially because it just kind of pushes back his timeline, and it doesn't feel like he's going to be on par with everybody else. So Cooper DeJean, another injury, unrelated to his prior injuries, but something to keep our eyes on. Okay, let's jump into Jalen Hurts because Jalen Hurts had a very, very good day. And here was his best play of the day. A nice touch pass to Dallas Goedert all the way down the field for a touchdown, about 35 yards, hit him perfectly in stride. And other than one incompletion, according to ESP here, Jalen Hurts would have been 16 for 16 on the day. Now, they didn't go crazy, right? It says a lot of short, medium passes, but the accuracy looked good, and he did not put the ball in harm's way. So making better decisions with the football. And just a very solid day for Jalen Hurts. Like I said, I was looking at some of the videos of him with his mechanics, and his throwing motion looks very clean. He looks to be in great shape. Look at him here after at the podium. He just looks to be in very good shape. So I think he's continuing to improve. But Had a really nice pass to Dallas Goedert. Very clean day for Jalen Hurts and a good way to start off. I mean, there was a video surfacing of Daniel Jones and he overthrows a little pass into the flat. So, look, the Giants are in trouble. The Eagles are off to a good start. Now, Jalen Hurts started off with his post-presser here by saying that he has a great relationship with Nick Sirianni, and I'm glad because they started firing away questions. And even when I was watching the A.J. Brown presser, like, the media has to chill a bit. I know it's their job, but they're asking them these crazy questions about Hard Knocks and about, you know, certain conversations with people and things. And it's day one, okay? Let these guys breathe a little bit. Jalen Hurts kind of interrupted the media. He came out originally and just said, yo, let me just say for 1 second, me and Nick are good. Our relationship's good. We're trying to build that chemistry. Couple things that Hurts said that I really like are, one, talent can win games. It can take you only so far, but teams win championships. So he's really been trying to buy in and preach that team mentality to the rest of the guys and be that leader. Seems a lot more well-spoken just off the bat here. And in addition to that, what I really like is that, you know, he says, like, last year was last year. We're focused on this year. We've done it before. You know, back 2 years ago, we went to the Super Bowl. Like, we can do that again, but I have to be the leader and kind of preach that to the team. So glad to hear that from Jalen Hurts and everything he's saying, right? And I like how he just came out right away and said, me and Nick are good, and just established that because, again, a lot of things get thrown up into the air. We also got to see Saquon Barkley today, and we'll talk about Kellen Moore in a second, but here's our first look at Jalen Hurts handing it up, right up the gut. There it is, Saquon Barkley. It's actually real, ladies and gentlemen. He is a Philadelphia Eagle, and it's a beautiful sight. And then we got another clip where Jalen Hurts actually pitches it to Saquon Barkley. Jalen Hurts, little pitch right there, and Saquon runs it. And then we even got a clip from Kenny Gainwell where Jalen Hurts is going to find him as well. So maybe this is a preview of what's to come. The Eagles actually utilizing their running backs and putting them to work and letting them, you know, claw away at some of these short yardage situations and gain some yards and make it easier on third down and, you know, just open up the big play, right? Let the run open up the pass, and Jalen Hurts using his running backs here at practice. So very good to see that. And according to John Clark, there was a lot of motion with the Eagles offense today. Different plays, Dallas Goedert, Devontae moving all around, freeing up different guys. And it's just nice to have that new philosophy. When I heard AJ talk and Jalen, you know, pretty much they're still going through and learning new parts of the offense with Kellen Moore, but he seems to be a lot more innovative, which is a good thing to hear. And it sounds like Nick is still delegating and letting the other coaches kind of take hold. And ESP says the Eagles ran a play today with motion before the snap and then a fake pitch to Saquon that ended up turning into a QB run and a big gain for Jalen Hurts. So again, just these little misdirections and these things to throw off the defense. The Eagles did not have that in prior years, and they just really struggled with creating at all. Like just being able to, you know, kind of throw off the defense or just send them one way. And I feel like the Eagles just constantly got back to that same rhythm of, you know, run, 2 yards, and then a quarterback keeper. And they never really just did anything to be creative and be sneaky in any ways and just try to, you know, mess up the rhythm of the defense. So I'm excited for what Kellen Moore has started off with here. One other guy I wanted to talk about is Mekhi Becton. John Clark said the humidity out here at Eagles training camp is tough. Mekhi actually ended up throwing up. And like I said, he's fighting for that right guard job. But he ended up coming back in right after the guys came over to check on him. Apparently, he threw up 10 times, and Mekhi Becton still went out there and muscled through it. So already a Mekhi Becton fan. I know he's more on the veteran side. Tyler Steen is the guy they're trying to develop. Who knows what the job is going to look like in a couple weeks, who's going to win it. But Mekhi Becton earned my respect today. So shout out to him. And last couple of notes here. The Eagles started Steen at right guard. Mekhi Becton was at left guard with Dickerson absent. Tyler Steen and him kind of rotating. But in terms of the linebacker position, right, one thing we're keeping our eyes on, Zach Bond actually got the start today, not Nakobe Dean. So it was Devin White and Zach Bond. Now, Zach Bond's never really established himself much as a starter in the NFL. I liked him back in 2020, but if that's your starting linebacker, we're going to have issues. So hopefully Nakobe can play up to par and can kind of win that job, but we'll keep our eyes on that. Isaiah Rodgers was the second corner today. It was not Quinyon Mitchell. It was not James Bradbury, who, as I mentioned, was at safety, but it was Isaiah Rodgers. So, again, sneaky player, good pickup by Howie. Maybe he ends up winning the job. It's still a long time to go. Now, there were other guys that cycled in and got reps. There was Eli Ricks. Quinyon was in there. Keely Ringo got some reps. So it seems like they're kind of rotating guys and trying different looks. But obviously, Darius Slay will have one of the jobs. And the other one comes down to, I guess, a couple guys, maybe three different players fighting for that cornerback 2 job. And then Avonte was at the slot today. I'm sure when DeJean comes back, we'll see him there a bit. And maybe even Isaiah Rodgers. And then Paris Campbell was at wide receiver 3. So, yeah, man, that cornerback job, the linebacker, and the right guard are really the main 3 to keep your eyes on. What are you looking for the most? What positions are you looking at in terms of the battles? And what do you think about what Jalen Hurts and some of these other guys had to say? Give me your thoughts down below. Also, real quick, let's go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsor of today's video. It is the great BetMGM. Enjoy all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up using our code ATOZPA and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you do not win your first bet. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to parlays, live bets, player props, and daily boosted odds specials. And with BetMGM at your fingertips, every play and every game matter more than ever. So go ahead and find out why BetMGM is the king of sportsbooks. Sign up today with the bonus code ATOZPA and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you do not win your first bet. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions.